You're watching the PlantX vodcast. Join us as we explore the inner workings of all things plant-based and all things PlantX, from the products and lifestyles to the people behind them. Now welcome our host, the man who combined his love of e-commerce and the plant-based lifestyle to create PlantX, Sean Dollinger.
Hey everyone, welcome to the PlantX vodcast. Thanks for joining us live here, and I know the time is always moving around, and as you know, this is a live show, and unfortunately today I couldn't be in my office, so I'm in Vancouver and pulled to the side to make sure to bring this vodcast live and uninterrupted. Before we bring on our guest today, last week, really proud of the numbers that we reported once again, beating month over month. And again, this is pretty much all business to consumer with the exception of Little West, which just keeps doing an incredible job on the wholesale front. Cassandra, Andrew, Brad, the accounts that they're bringing to the table, the product being as amazing as it is, it sells itself. And we keep seeing recurring revenue go up and up every single month. Even on the e-commerce site, when we started just a year ago, it was almost at zero in revenue. And currently we're at about $70,000 US a month just on the recurring side with a 65% gross margin. And it really allows for growth. Obviously, lots of marketing dollars go into building up the new customer acquisition, but what we've done on Little West will be brought to Portfolio Coffee next. I was in Toronto yesterday, got to go visit the facility for the first time. Obviously, Lauren, our CEO, who's out of Toronto, works with the team, but I finally had a chance to go, and Jacob and Andre and the whole team over there, they've done an incredible job. It makes me so proud to be such a large shareholder of our company, and seeing what it's grown to here in under 2 years. It's unbelievable. On that note, let's invite our guest on the show. Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, no, nice seeing you, and thank you so much for making time for us, Carissa. I really appreciate it. And before we jump into any questions, we love to start our vodcasts by asking our guests, how do they take their coffee?
Well, that's a great question. I'm still drinking my coffee here from this morning. Well, I'm a vegan, so I always get it with some kind of vegan plant-based creamer. And I usually skip the sugar because I find that those creamers are already sweet enough. And I tend to go straight to the Keurig machine because that's easy. So I fill it with water, I pop in the little cup and press start, and then I milk the coffee all day long.
Awesome. Yeah, no, figured, especially with your schedule and everything that you do, guaranteed need some coffee in the daily routine. And back to what you said with the creamers and the oat milk and all these different things, I agree. The flavor on its own is amazing, and it brings out the coffee flavor sometimes.
I can say, actually, I do tend to gravitate more towards the oat milk based creamers because I do find it creamier than almond or cashew milk. For some reason, I like the oat milk, but I'll take my coffee with any of those, whatever the option is.
Yeah, no, and I agree on the oat milk, and I've said it a few times on our podcasts. I stand in Starbucks lines now, and I hear people like ordering the oat milk over the regular milk nonstop. And I know when I started drinking oat milk, I'd sometimes go back and say, did you make a mistake with this? So I think it's a great product, which really introduces people to the whole plant-based living side of things.
Mm-hmm. And not to get off track, but I don't know if you noticed that when you order the oat milk or the plant-based milk at Starbucks, that normally you pay a premium, that they charge like 80 cents extra for that option, except in the UK where they've basically ruled that vegan is a protected class. So now they don't charge a premium. And there's new reports and new news coming out that Starbucks is going to change their policies here in the United States because they don't want to be sued for some kind of discrimination case for charging a premium for their plant-based options in their coffees. But unfortunately, since meat and dairy is subsidized,
You think we should cancel and read this?
yeah,
Maybe.
What? I hear people talking. Oh, since meat and dairy is subsidized, basically, they're going to make their own private label brand of a plant-based protein to put in their milks to help not pass off the cost to us.
Wow, love the stat on that. I had no idea in the UK they do that. That's great. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I did notice just yesterday actually that I saw the cash register. I never look, and I saw that they charge like 65 cents or something extra here in Canada. So yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
funny to see. Maybe share with our viewers today a little bit about what your day looks like, what you're doing. As far as published author, anchor, the list goes on.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm Carissa Kranz. I'm a lawyer. I'm a vegan from birth. I have my own law firm. It's called the Law Offices of Carissa Kranz. We do plaintiff's work, personal injury, and I'm the founder and CEO of BeVeg. BeVeg is the world's only accredited vegan trademark and standard. And the BeVeg vegan standard is managed by the law offices of Carissa Kranz, which is my firm, which is headquartered in Florida. So my day is pretty busy. That's why it starts with that cup of coffee. I wake up and I am basically head of operations for, even though it's one business, it's the law firm that's managing the vegan standard. It very much feels like two businesses. For example, with BeVeg, we're an audit-based vegan standard. So we are partnered with NSF, which is the world's largest food safety certifier, and OU, the Orthodox Union, which is the world's largest kosher certifier. So they are a third-party technical administrator. So much of the time, like, leads come into us, and I have to work with them to ensure that they get handled with the right account manager, and that they go that they get passed off to our third-party technical administrators for audit. And then on top of that, I have the law firm and all my staff there. And I have a wonderful dog named Pumpkin who requires many walks throughout the day, who's sitting on the floor here, who might join this session. And I'm just really busy doing things I care about and love, but really busy.
Awesome. And what inspired you to start BeVeg?
Okay, so I am a vegan from birth, and I am a lawyer. So my background in law started out as first a prosecutor in Palm Beach County. And then after doing that for about 2.5 years, I worked at Greenberg Traurig, which is a top 5 global law firm internationally, and felt that really wasn't my calling, and felt I had a bigger passion. So I started my own firm to do civil litigation. And when I learned all the deficiencies in labeling laws and how the FDA does labeling and how vegan isn't recognized under the law and how consumer protection laws aren't protecting vegans or the plant-based consumer from allergens or proper labeling or manufacturing facility processes, I started to put 2 and 2 together. And the more I knew and the more I learned, the more I realized we need to build a standard. And so I got started because I saw that there was a need. And I think I'm more entrepreneurial in spirit. While I really love the law and I love working within the law is a living, breathing entity that is always up for evaluation and reevaluation and for carving out the law and spearheading, the changes that we wish to see in this world. So I drafted this vegan standard. It's very robust. It's about 150 pages. It has an auditor training program, an auditor checklist. And what it does is it really keeps manufacturing facilities and brands using vegan label claims accountable to a uniform global standard. And it's something that I'm very passionate about because it allows me to merge my profession and passion into one happy family. So I can say I may not have been like the most fulfilled practicing criminal law or securities litigation, but when I was able to merge my knowledge and my understanding of the law and how to think critically and to write and to really see where the law is at and then see where a need is, I found great fulfillment in being able to further something within the law that I care about by having an ISO accredited standard.
Love it. No, I think it's so important. People definitely are told what they're for sure consuming and all these different things out there. And one thing that came up during one of our transitions at one of our retail stores is understanding the way the U.S. government works. And sorry, help me out. On the U.S. side, is it called ECB credits, like that people could come in and use food stamps and all those different things?
Oh, EBT, yeah.
EBT, thank you for that. And was drawing a blank and figured I'd throw something out there, but EBT. And it was quite interesting how they needed to be educated on the whole vegan space because they would only originally credit dairy and meat products, etc., and they weren't 100% sold on the whole vegan side of things. Have you encountered anything on that side? Or
I've encountered that there's a huge need for education for retailers and consumers on what vegan means and why it's different than plant-based. And I think it's very important that the plant-based consumer, which is mainstream, because it is mainstream to be flexitarian right now, it is mainstream to be leaning into a plant-based diet and lifestyle. But, being a vegan is a smaller population, but the vegan claim is the aspiration for the plant-based consumer, and it's education, because the reality is plant-based is the popular word because that's a more popular consumer in terms of masses. But we can't lose sight of the fact that plant-based as a claim means absolutely nothing. It means based mostly in plants. And in fact, the plant-based certified standard even allows for up to 10% of other ingredients. That could be anything. That could be animals. You don't know what that is. It's not 100% vegan. It is not. It is just saying, oh, it's a plant-based cheese, but that doesn't mean that there's no casein or rennet or any other additive that's less than 10%. So I think that vegan is important, not just for the vegan consumer, but it's important for the allergen sufferer. 100% of the Asian population is allergic to dairy. 20% of the world is allergic to dairy. Someone allergic to dairy or someone allergic to shellfish or some other animal allergen may rely on a vegan claim that wasn't audited and wasn't vetted. And then they could go into anaphylactic shock and die. And then that's why they hire lawyers like me to defend them against big insurance companies for being hurt. So it's really important to educate the consumer on why vegan is about being transparent. It's the clean claim. It's the pure claim. If you want a plant-based product, the vegan claim is the claim for the plant-based products. In fact, Cargill, one of the world's largest meat manufacturers, just came out with a consumer report saying that brand owners and manufacturers are racing to market for vegan products for the plant-based consumer. So even Cargill understands you can't blur the words vegan and plant-based, because vegan means plant-based and cruelty-free, but plant-based does not mean vegan and does not mean cruelty-free. Plant-based is an aspiring population and a growing population, but vegan is the actual ultimate claim and label that the plant-based consumer is looking for in stores. It's just not as easily accessible, but they're leaning in and they're demanding it. They are wanting the plant-based products because they prefer the vegan claims.
Love it. We should have had you on our first show ever, where we're discussing, what's vegan versus plant-based. And trust me, I didn't come up with this answer that you had. And,
it's so different. And it's so important because I see vegan businesses taking a step back and trying to rebrand themselves as plant-based because they feel like that's more popular, because the word is popular. But we are risking the actual consumer transparency by doing that. Like, consumer laws are in place to protect the consumer to make informed purchasing decisions when they buy products and read labels. So plant-based as a claim means nothing for products. It means that it's just based mostly in plants, but it doesn't give the super consumer, which most people are a super consumer. Most people want to know, what exactly am I consuming? What exactly am I drinking? What exactly am I eating? So the super consumer doesn't want to be lied to, whether it's politics transparency, relationships transparency, label transparency. So vegan really is the claim for the plant-based consumer. And we can't lose as vegans the vegan word or the vegan claim because we feel like plant-based speaks to a bigger mass. What we need to do is just open up and be more inclusive, saying, okay, look, you're vegan of heart, you're vegan aspirations, but vegan's not that scary. But let's not taint the claim or tarnish the claim because you're not fully vegan in everything in your life, because vegan claims deal with cosmetics, furniture, leather seats in cars, down pillows, coats, textiles, food. It's everything. Whereas plant-based is mostly just food. But it does, even if it's just food, the standard is not 100% vegan and does not mean cruelty free. So you don't have transparency of ingredient and process the same way. And it's also not an audit-based standard, but you don't have the same transparency to trust it. Basically, I don't think you can trust any vegan claims unless they're certified and audited. And BeVeg is the only vegan trademark that audits. So too much goes on at the manufacturing facility level.
Yeah, I love that. And then on the plant-based side, I didn't know that 10% of products, could be other things.
You can pull up this is where we have to distill it and give the consumer and the retailer cliff notes. But you can pull up the plant-based standard offline. It's 4 pages and it's right there. And it says,
wow.
The thing is it's based mostly in plants. It is well-intentioned. It tries to keep chemicals out of things, keeps it more holistic. And it's a great certification idea to have, but it's not in place of vegan, and it is not the same thing, and it cannot be used interchangeably, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And thanks for opening my eyes, and we'll definitely bring that to the drawing table and see how we could definitely educate the user on that.
Yeah. I see a question too. Should I answer it? Because it's a good one.
So yeah, we'll jump into questions, and people are live, as you know, and we encourage people to write in this week for any suggestions, any feedback. Get out a Little West assortment pack to them to try what's now my favorite juice. But yeah, let's jump into the questions.
I see one from Alex Hoffman. He says, if something has a BeVeg certification, is it also considered kosher? And I get that question a lot with organic too. And it's a really great question. And this is more of the education. But BeVeg and vegan is not the same thing as kosher, and it's not the same thing as organic. So organic has a lot to do with soil practices and chemicals. Kosher has to do with a rabbi blessing a facility and the separation of meat and dairy. Vegan has to do with being free from animal material and cruelty-free with animals. So really, the benefit of BeVeg working with NSF, the world's largest food safety certifier, is they represent kosher claims, non-GMO claims, gluten-free claims, organic claims, and BeVeg is their official vegan standard. So products that are looking to get kosher, non-GMO, organic can bundle the vegan audit with BeVeg at the same time. And there's tremendous discounts involved in doing that. So if you go and you get non-GMO and kosher at the same time and then BeVeg, they may give you 25% off your audit, because all those audits can happen on the same day by one auditor with minimal factory disruption. But no, you can't say that vegan certification is in place of kosher certification, because vegan certification doesn't require a rabbi. And there's certain kosher laws, which are, Judaic laws that have to happen at the facility. The vegan standard at BeVeg is more about making sure that there's no cross-contamination of animal products during the production process. So that means that most facilities are shared facilities. So lots of times there's a chance for cross-contamination. So BeVeg requires that the factory's standard operating procedures be updated to contemplate vegan integrity and no contamination, the way it does for gluten-free for no contamination. So that may mean having the vegan production runs in the morning, so there's less product turnover and less chance of contamination later in the day, which means less product recalls for animal contaminants like salmonella, Ebola, E. coli, and all these other things that cause problems for retailers on their store shelves. But either way, it's still a totally different claim. It just is different things being contemplated at the facility level. So maybe segregation of vegan products versus non-vegan products, labeling requirements, label checks, totally different. But people do get confused. Like also, or if something is organic, it means that it's also non-GMO, I think. Or if it's non-GMO, it means it's also organic. I forget. But
No, I
people
believe if it's organic, no,
it's
on the non-GMO, I don't think there could be GMO products in organic.
okay. Right. So that's an educated consumer that would know that. But sometimes companies and brands will say, let me just get the non-GMO and let me get organic certification, two separate ones, because it's our badge of approval. It's our badge of brand confidence, and it's what builds consumer trust to have the different certifications. Like I'm a lawyer. I'm licensed in New York, Florida, and Washington D.C. So I get to put on my website, barred in all these different jurisdictions. Or also on my legal website, I was showing Christian before the show. Like all the different awards we've won at our law firm. So sometimes, even though one award is enough, you acquire more clients, and it's no different for brands. The more that you can say, I've done this, I've done that, I've proven my vegan status. I have nothing to hide. I'll be transparent. Yeah. So if you go to the news part at the top, you can see the in print features, yeah, the law firm news, you can see the different awards. These things help when clients come to our firm hiring us, because we get to say we've done X, Y, and Z. We've been on TV. We've been interviewed. We just got awarded #1 spot by attorney.com for 2022 at our firm. So I think it's just important that brands, retailers, and the consumer all understand the difference between being vegan, being plant-based, and having an official certification, which is very different than a trademark. The other well-known trademarks are trademarks, but they are not certification programs with third-party audits and standards in place, which is very different.
Yeah, no, I think you've done a great job in explaining that. And I'm sure to this next question, if I learned anything from your response on the first one on the contamination side, should a juice company really go through the steps of getting that certified vegan company?
I think any company that wants to make a vegan claim should be willing to go through the certification. They can bundle it with any food safety audit. That's the benefit of BeVeg and the partnership with NSF. Like NSF also does food safety, SQF, BRC audits. So if you're going through those other audits, it's a very easy tack on, and it's official. So a lot can happen in juice making process too. There could be a sugar additive, which is made of bone char. There could be machinery that could have contamination. There could be isinglass that is used in the finding of the sugar or the finding of the beverage. Vitamin D could be added with lanolin. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. And I think the consumer, when they're purchasing things, they don't want to have to look and study the ingredients and the process. They want to pick up something and know almost immediately, is this safe for me? Like if I see a plant-based claim on a product, I do not assume that that's safe. If I see a vegan claim on a product that's not certified by BeVeg, I may be more inclined to buy it just because they're not saying plant-based, they're saying vegan, and I trust that a little bit more. But I can't tell you how many products have gone through a vegan certification that when they actually have to start thinking about their supply chain and their processes and their co-manufacture or their own facility, if it's vertical integration, how many actually need to change their processes or upgrade their suppliers in order to really be compliant with a vegan standard?
Yeah, no, the difficulties or the challenges that I see, everything makes perfect sense, and you're doing a great job in explaining everything. If I didn't have this chat with you today, or if our viewers didn't hear it, I wouldn't know. I'd walk through the grocery store, and if something says certified vegan, I would just assume it is, assumption. And that's where there's some difficulties, because I think it'd be great for the whole world to know exactly what you're saying,
Yeah. And this is important because when I was just by where you are in Vancouver. I just did the trade show out there. It was a food show. And, there are other trademarks out there that are well known, like the certified vegan one, which is the heart logo, or the sunflower logo, which is in vegan society. And these are all well-intentioned trade associations by vegan activists, but they are not third-party audits. There's no official vegan standard. There's no auditing checklist that goes into factories. They specifically say they will not even certify facilities. BeVeg certifies the facility, and only products out of the facility on the facility level can then gain the certification. And also, we're the only trademark under accreditation, which means that you really can't be a certification body or a certification program without having accreditation. You're then a verification program, legally speaking. So even though it might say certified vegan, it's not officially a certified product. It's a verified product. To be certified, you have to be accredited legally. And the other thing is BeVeg has more global trademark protection than any of those other trademarks. So even though they're well-known trademarks and anyone can make a trademark and hire a lawyer and register it in a jurisdiction, that's not hard. I think the benefit of BeVeg is like the sunflower logo is in Europe, but it's not in the United States. And then the heart logo is in the United States, but it's not in Europe. BeVeg is kind of a one and done program. We have the trademark protection in Europe, in all 6 continents, actually. So that means that if you're an exporter of products, or you're looking to grow your brand and grow your products internationally, you don't need to worry about global trademark protection in all those jurisdictions, because BeVeg is registered globally as not only an International Standardization Organization standard, ISO 17065 for products and services, but we also have more global trademark protection than any other trademark out there, which means you do not have to change your product packaging if you're looking to expand your brand internationally to other continents.
I think we could literally speak to you for hours. So interesting. And I know I'll definitely have a bunch of referral business for you, because anytime somebody comes to us from now on, I'll be like, hey, I don't see your logo on there. So we'll get them over to you.
Yeah. And I think you're going to see a lot more of it now with our partnership with NSF, because of the bundling ability. So they can bundle with non-GMO and kosher and other food safety. And it can happen at the same time. And it really isn't that much more expensive, because we're really trying to focus on BeVeg is making a lot less than those other trademarks, because we have to work with the auditors, and the auditors have to do something to get paid. We're not just charging a rent-a-stamp licensing fee like the other trademarks. That's more of a rent-a-stamp licensing program. BeVeg has, real auditors, real third parties, and all of our auditors are trained as food safety ISO auditors. So they've been through major training, and the third-party technical administrators have to be paid to administer the entire BeVeg program. And we are keeping our costs purposely down to match that of what's already out there, if not less, to be honest, because we are allowing it to be bundled with other certifications. So, I see people asking what it might cost. I mean, that's a complicated question, because it really depends on, do you own the facility? Are you a private label? Are you a brand owner? Do you have the co-manufacturer? Is the co-manufacturer already a certified BeVeg facility and we just have to review your ingredients and processes? Is it possible to bundle it with something else you're already doing? So we can easily give a custom quote if someone goes to our website at beveg.com, and there's the main application page under the Get Certified tab. If you start the application, right there, and you hit submit, it'll grab the information, which will then go to NSF, and we get it as well for follow-up. The OU also will get it. And then after that form, there's a quote form. And that next form asks some specific questions about your company details, which then will allow us to pretty much and almost immediately send you a quote of what it would cost for the BeVeg certification for your product.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing with everybody live here. We greatly appreciate it. And if it's okay with you, if anybody had questions that we didn't get to, we'll forward them over to you guys.
Yeah, I see other questions here, so I'm happy to answer them. but I think, are we out of time? I see the potential penalties for making false claims. I mean, there's a lot of good questions here, and they're valid questions.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we'll get them over to you or whoever you'd recommend at your firm, and we'll share with our newsletter. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Sounds great. Next time I'm in Vancouver.
Sounds great. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. Cheers. Another phenomenal guest on the show. Very thankful to our team who goes out there and finds such interesting people. That I think this weekly vodcast and the work Christian's doing here has come such a long way. Feel free again to give feedback, and we're always looking to improve what we're doing here. I apologize that the camera was shaking around a little bit. It's not the warmest weather here. And again, I got caught out of the office this morning, but wanted to make sure that we stayed committed to our shareholders and investors, no matter what's taking place in our lives. It's important that we stay committed to you and keep building PlantX to where I know it can be. And again, numbers keep growing and building an incredible foundation here. Until next week, stay curious, stay planted, stay healthy.
PlantX believes in a plant-based future for our health and the health of our planet. We've created a unique online shop for everything plant-based. Our intent on positioning globally is the core of our vision for investor accessibility and corporate growth. Learn more at investor.com.